Welcome back everyone, I'm on a mission to build the coziest, most immersive mountain base in Minecraft, where every build has a story and a purpose. And last episode we built a speakeasy hidden behind our mountain library to hold our disc collection, but today we're tackling something long overdue. Our forgotten enchanting setup. It's been sitting there unfinished on the mountaintop for far too long, so today we bring it to life with a custom ruined mystical tower complete with custom terrain and more. When I started on this world, there was one goal I really had in mind, and that was to kind of keep things simple but to tell a story with every build. Make sure that everything had a focus and a function and would be part of the story of this world. Well, I've been kind of staying true to that, and I've been going very much back to the basics with a lot of things in this world. And one of them is by actually making use of the enchanting table. And you might think it's just not that interesting, but I think it really is, because it's one of those mysterious elements in the game, and it's kind of just abandoned after some of the earlier stages of the game where everyone rushes to villages. And yeah, sure, you can get every enchantment you'd ever need in the world, but I think they just take something away from the game. And although I started with a few villages when I first began in this world, I quickly realized that they just weren't really fun to me. I actually want to go back to the basic mechanics. So what I want to do is I want to build something really special to kind of encompass our enchanting area. I want to make something mysterious and ruined, and something that kind of looks abandoned and kind of like left from previous civilizations. Maybe like someone that just left something here on the mountainside forgotten, and I just happened to stumble across it and settling into my base area down below it. But before we can actually go further, we need to actually start clearing out of the area. So I think if we just begin by flattening out, just to give ourselves a bit of space to work with, like a blank canvas, if you will. And I think once we've sort of flattened it out and sort of given ourselves a little bit of a plateau, so we'll need to fill in a little bit of the area as well, then I think we can kind of have somewhere to build from and gonna go from there. Because this sort of building style for me is going to be incredibly adventurous, because I've never built anything in a kind of ruined style. I mean, historically, I struggled a lot with kind of making builds feel organic and natural, and I think certainly like ruined builds are probably one of the hardest to get right in Minecraft. So if you think I actually get it right later on in the video, then make sure to let me know down in the comments, because it shall be interesting, shall we say. So at this point of recording, I actually have no clue what I'm actually going to be doing. I just know roughly the sort of size I want to build it in, because I do want to make this probably one of the biggest sort of builds in this sort of area, but I don't want to overshadow all the nice stuff that we've made down below. And I do kind of want to master this in sort of like some custom terrain and things. So anyway, let's actually start collecting up some resources, and then we can actually start moving forward. So I'm going to be using a lot of sort of like the sort of stone themed blocks. I mean, we're using bits of tuff as well, but I'm going to be using quite a lot of cobblestone and like mossy cobblestone, just because it kind of looks a lot like, you know, like cracked and aged and all that. And of course we can also add like well, the stone bricks, if we smelt them down, then we can also get the cracked bricks from that as well. So I think that's something that we're going to be using a lot of, I think. So I'm just kind of collecting together like a load of resources that I think I'm going to need. So andesite's definitely one of them, and I'm sure there'll probably be plenty of other things I will want to use. But I do also want to see if I can make use of some of the new Minecraft 1.21.4 blocks, because I've just updated this world and I finally have access to the Pale Garden. So later on in the episode, we are actually going to be going on an adventure. I say me and my best friend are going to be going on an adventure where we're going to be finding all of the new blocks, because I'm definitely going to be trying to incorporate them into the build today. So that's going to be a lot of fun, so make sure you stick along to that. One thing that I am super glad that I did before starting out today was that I actually finally organized all of our storage into the storage hall that Eden built for us, and it did take me quite a few hours, but at least it's now finally organized, and we no longer need to actually hunt around to find anything we need when we actually want to build stuff. So everything's now organized into proper categories, so that's going to make our lives a lot easier. Sometimes I think it's so easy to forget just how magical Minecraft worlds can be, and when you're flying around by Elytra all the time, you tend to miss a lot of the finer details and all the life that's been added in recent updates. And so what I've been really sticking to in this world is absolutely no Elytras and traveling everywhere by horseback or by foot, So me and Eden actually set out on an adventure to try and find one of the new pale garden biomes, but it's definitely going to be a bit of a challenge because this world has actually been going for a little while now, so there are so many loaded chunks, so trying to find any kind of new ungenerated terrain is certainly going to be a bit of a challenge, but we found plenty of things along the way.
Oh, armadillo.
Armadillo, is it? I've not seen one yet. Oh, hello. Oh, oh, I guess they're scared, aren't they? Get scared if you get too close.
Yeah.
So if we keep still, will they open up?
Yes.
I want to pet armadillo so badly now. I can touch a lead.
No,
yeah.
Oh, no, there you go. Ah.
Oh, I'm definitely going to come back here later and bring one back to the base. Oh, that's the first time I've seen one of the armadillos. Armadillos, if I can say it right. But after exploring and finding armadillos for the first time, we continued onwards, sailing across open oceans day and night, trekking across open land, and then finally coming across to our first pale garden. Oh, this is cool. I like this.
I'm loving the effects that are coming off of this as well.
See, this is what they're adding, is that in the spring drop, they're adding more of this ambient stuff, like the particle effects.
Is that off of the leaves or the hanging moss?
That's... so hanging moss, I think, is just shears. Yeah, the particles is just the trees in general, so it's a bit like the cherry blossom. But yeah, they're adding these leaf effects to all the trees.
That'd be cool.
Oh, definitely getting a load of this moss.
Flowers.
Oh, there's the flowers.
Cherry blossom.
Yeah, and they open at night, I think. Yeah, they should open. They'll change again. They look like the freaking eyes, whatever.
Wow.
Oh, and this pale moss. I think it works in the same way as normal moss, that we can just bone meal it up. I'll just grab a little bit.
Ooh, really? Okay.
With twilight quickly approaching, we created a campfire, and then we waited for the creakings to start spawning.
Silk touch we need, yeah?
Silk touch for the heart, yeah.
Where's the... Oh my god, it's right there. That thing moves fast, or is that a second one?
It might be a second one. Oh, this resin's cool. Oh, it forms more resin. Oh, I forgot it does that. So yeah, when you hit them, it spawns resin.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, so the more you hit it, the more resin... There you go, look, see it spreading?
Oh, okay.
So you can make resin blocks, and then these resins themselves, they look like... You can use them as like decorative blocks as well. They look quite nice.
Do you mind staring at him in a second then?
Yeah, can do. Oh, they hit.
You didn't stare.
I wanted to see how hard it hit. Oh, skeleton.
I only have a silk touch pick. Oh my word.
Sorry, I know, skeleton. Yeah, they really need to stop other mobs spawning. This is...
I only have a silk touch pickaxe on me.
Same. I think it will still work. Did it work? Do you have the block?
Creaking heart, yes.
Hey!
I have a creaking heart. And the creaking died.
Oh yeah, one over here, one over there. And that one's slightly further along. Gosh, they do actually hit quite hard. They are so fast.
Ow. Oh my word, they are really fast.
Adventures completed. I now finally have the extra blocks that I need. So I've got some of that lovely pale moss and the hanging pale moss. I think that's going to look really cool in the build for today. So with that, now that we have everything else that we also need ready to go, let's actually get started and get building. I say this a lot, but I am actually chuffed to bits with how this came out. This is better than I could ever have possibly have expected. I mean, this has been a real bit of experimentation for me into a completely new style of playing. I've never really built in this way, so it's been a lot of fun. and it's come along pretty nicely. So we've got a nice little hallway here in the middle as we come into the tower, and then we've also got this little rickety stairway that's winding its way up to the top. And I've tried to make it look as kind of like ruinous and falling apart as possible. So as we go further and up, it's starting to get a bit more precarious. So we've kind of got like random blocks and things kind of hanging out and cracks in the wall. So I think that's kind of really having the side effect quite nicely. And then, yeah, as I say, here we've got like these bricks stuff that's falling out the wall, so that looks really cool. And as we get up to the very top, then the whole floor has pretty much caved in, and I think this looks really cool. So this is exactly what I had in mind, really, or better than that anyway. And now we've got a perfect viewing point for our whole little mountain outcrop base, really. And I think I could just sit here all day, really, and just take in the views. I think building this style definitely has left me feeling very inspired. I mean, I'm trying to think about what else we could possibly build in the future in this sort of similar fashion. And I couldn't help thinking that maybe in the future we could do something along the lines of if you're familiar with Lord of the Rings, where you have the beacons that get lit when Gondor calls for aid. I mean, we could have like maybe on like distant mountains, like looking on beyond our range, we could have some more towers or things kind of in the distance. So that could look really cool on the horizon, especially because we have a little mod installed called Bobby that allows us to see really far into the world, like much further render distance than is normally available in the game. So that could look really cool. But you know, for now, I think we just need to get in our little enchanting setup and get that fully built in. And then really, we can just start turning our attention to the exterior area, because currently the terrain is looking a little bit lackluster. And it definitely could do with a bit of love to kind of build up this sort of mysterious abandoned effect that I want to go for. Because, you know, we've got the tower and it's looking pretty good, but everything's looking really stony and bare outside of here. So I think really probably the first logical thing that we can do, because we've got quite a lot of space to fill, is I wouldn't mind trying to build in some custom trees. So I'm thinking probably some pine trees, but I'm not quite fully decided yet. So if we just collect up some spruce wood, and then I'm especially going to need quite a few spruce leaves as well. And then I think I'm also going to collect up some birch leaves as well, because I wouldn't mind trying to like mix up the foliage a little bit and make it a little bit more interesting and varied. I mean, historically I've probably just stuck to kind of one or the other, but actually I think the birch and the spruce look quite similar, but like just subtly different enough that I think it could kind of make a nice bit of variation. So yeah, let's collect up some of this, and then we can start building in some trees to give ourselves a bit of a foundation with a new terrain. Wow, that has already made a big difference. I think that's definitely done the trick, I think, in starting to fill in the landscape. I mean, just encompassing the tower with just a few trees, like not too many, but just a few kind of spread around each side. I think that has just gone so far into just making this a bit more alive and just realistic. And it's kind of definitely sort of setting in stone the next part of it, really. And I think then we can start to greenify this area. So yeah, it's looking quite good now like this, but we need to, I think, swap out some of that stony outcrop bit. I want to make it a lot more green and stuff. So I think the best way of probably doing that is just by taking the slightly lazy route with moss, but trust the process. It's going to look good, I think, because even though it's kind of just spamming a load of moss really to start with, I think that's from there we can kind of start to like add in some variation, and we can kind of throw in some like boulders and stuff. So just by kind of like starting like this, I think this gives us something good to work with. I think it's just, I mean, you could take the long route of kind of manually placing every single block, but I think sometimes, especially if you're like me, where landscaping is not necessarily something that comes totally naturally to me, so just having something like moss to kind of kickstart the process is just kind of a good way to kind of get the creative juices flowing a bit, really. So yeah, definitely recommend doing the same. And then, as I say, then we can start to add in a bit of foliage. So I did this down below by the hanging tree that I added with the little pond. So just by adding in like a few leaves and things here and there, that helps break things up nicely. Just to add little shrubs and things, and of course some little boulders and stuff. So I'm going to make use of tuff and also like the more of like the cobblestone and the mossy cobblestone, because they work quite nicely into kind of making out little like rock formations and little bits kind of protruding out, and it just kind of breaks things up a nice little bit so that the moss is not too overpowering. But yeah, I think this is doing the trick quite nicely. Just going to try and spread this out as much as possible, really, and just kind of mix things up. And then I think we'll be well on our way. But with that actually looking a little bit better now, I actually want to turn my attention to the tower itself for a minute. So what I would like to do is I would actually like to add in some kind of like growth going up the tower, some like vines or like plants like sort of making their way up the tower itself. It's going to make it look like it's really overgrown. It's kind of really coming back to that like abandoned look that I keep going on about. So if we just add in some stuff like this around it, it kind of looks like nature's starting to reclaim the tower for itself. So this goes a long way, and it also really helps blend in the tower with this sort of the surrounding landscape as well. Just something like this, I think this works really well. Just I don't want to do too much, but just like a little bit kind of surrounding each sort of side. And I also want to start making use of the pale hanging moss that we found in our adventures area, because this is the bit I think that can really help add in just a little subtle detail. And again, it kind of ties into that kind of overgrown and kind of like aged and abandoned sort of look that we're going for, just like that little bit. Like you could almost like blink and you'll miss it. But just by adding in these little bits here and there, I think it just kind of adds in such a good bit of detail and variation, and I absolutely love it. I am so happy with all the new things that Mojang are actually adding to the game at the moment. I mean, it's just such small little things, but just go such a long way, and I'm all for it, and I'm especially excited for all the extra stuff that's coming in the spring drop. I mean, there's definitely going to be things that we can add into our landscape when that sort of arrives as well. But anyway, what I'd also like to do now is add in a little bit of a path that's kind of slowly kind of winding its way down this little area into sort of the area behind the tower. So Ian's actually working on a little barn. So he's got a little area already flattened out and a little tunnel making its way through to the main area where all the greenhouse and everything is. So I think if I just make this path just kind of slowly sort of creep its way down towards that direction, and then I can kind of make it lead up with the path that he originally added and the tunnel, and I think that will work quite well, because I don't think we really have space in the other side to kind of make any kind of access. So I think this kind of looks more fluid and makes more sense, at least in my eyes. So yeah, I think this is working out quite well. Oh, and none of this is going to look right if we don't actually add in a bit of color as well into this. Before I forget, we need to actually add in some flowers and stuff, because this looks so good down by the hanging tree. It's just by adding in a few of the lilacs and stuff, and like berry bushes, and then just like dotted around in the landscape as well, because again, it breaks up all of the sort of very green, mossy colors and stuff. So yeah, a little bit of that spread around, and then a spore blossom, I think, hidden away, just so we get some more particle effects in the area. And again, it's going to add to the whole ambience and everything. So yeah, that will look pretty good, I think. And then also make use of some of the cherry petals, just like a few here and there. Like I don't want to add in too many, but just a few, just like a little pop of color. And I just think that looks really nice. Yeah, I definitely can't wait for the new little flower drops that they're adding in, that we'll be able to add into this as well. But for now, at least, the pink petals, I think, does the trick. And then I think we're well on our way. So now that I've got, our path that we started off there, the final little bit that I just want to do is I just want to change the tunnel that Eden started here, and I want to make it match more in line with the original tunnel that we made underneath the mountain. Something a bit more like this. So it kind of matches in with the tunnel that works its way down to the mountain library and the speakeasies. So yeah, it kind of makes things feel more harmonious and they're just joined up and consistent, because I kind of like it when there's like a nice bit of similarity between things. Things feel like they tied in together and they feel really joined up. So yeah, but this is looking really good. I am so happy with this. This has come along so far, and this is just everything that I had in mind and more. I mean, how better now to just have our little mysterious enchanting setup than hidden away in this old, abandoned and ruined tower up on top of the mountain. So this has been so much fun. This is what I've been really enjoying in Minecraft lately, is just kind of just going with the flow with no real particular plan. Like I used to stress out about plans and kind of figuring everything out before I actually started building, specifically with like creating content in mind. But what I found is that it just kind of hinders things. It's much better to just go with the flow and enjoy things. So with that, we now have a complete new landscape, and that's all we really have time for. So until next time, I will see you later. Bye bye.